rumors about how expensive Region 3 can get or transferring, like building.
To it.
Yeah.
But you can actually cost effectively transfer from Region 3 to Region 2.
I think it's the same, man. To Region 2, I think most
No, because the cost of producing is so cheap in Region 3 that I had it $15 and gonna kill you. It'd be the same as producing in Region 2. Eric taught me that.
Yeah.
And the next one was raw materials. Raw materials that were ordered were in Region 1, we almost kept it equal to the number of units that are required. We had 23,000 units in Region 1 and 10,000. But in Region 3, due to high probability of probably not receiving all of them, we had at least 500 to 1,000 extra units just in case for the safety purpose. The next thing
I
is...
was thinking about the girl that she told us that, because we didn't know that it could possibly that.
Oh, Henry will tell you, huh, Henry? 2 quarters in a row.
And the main reason as in the cost of goods sold has decreased in Region 3. As we already talked about, it's one of them is wages, and the other thing is also the raw materials. Why we were able to reduce our total cost of goods sold, especially in Region 3.
Okay, good.
And this is a slide for the plant expansion and how we did it. It's a combination of product and production concepts. According to Cutler, the product and production philosophy. In the production philosophy, according to Cutler, consumers prefer buying goods that are large, like mass production, and at cheap quality. I mean, at cheaper prices. And according to the production philosophy, consumers would also prefer to buy something that has more innovation, higher quality. So it's a combination, like Chris mentioned, that brought us together to have a low cost versus differentiation that arises from this concept. And the total market share, we constantly analyze the total market share of how many customers there are in Region 1, 2, and 3. And we were targeting at least 10% of the total number of customers that were actually purchasing the products. And leasing versus subcontracting, building a plant. Leasing was something, the primary advantage of leasing we found was it's readily available next quarter itself. Instead of building a plant, we had to wait for 2 more quarters. That was one of the strong reasons. Even in all my solos, I went with leasing, and in the exam, I went with leasing. Subcontracting is a temporary solution, so we couldn't really rely too much on it, except we did subcontract one, and I think it's first, and there's another quarter that we did. Yeah, and I think it's in 6th quarter or 5th. We did, but it was very little, like 2,000, 1,000, and 1,000 in 2021, typically. So we prefer leasing, and that's what it has helped us. And moreover, with the leasing, our thought process was to not to go with the maintenance cost. I mean, we were able to keep our crew productivity at maximum, even with not investing in maintenance. All we did was, investing in the training, which we would have done even if we would have built a plant. So it really worked out for us. Our lowest, as a matter of fact, for the crew productivity was 998 for 3 people as compared to 1,000. So it didn't really go down, even though we didn't invest anything in maintenance at all. So it also helped bring our costs low. And offshoring products to China, and we already talked about why we offshored almost 10,000 units. We're also serving with, if you have anything more than 10,000, you have $9 for each unit, and the same way with the Region 1. If it's more than 20,000, we have $8 for each unit. And the expansion in quarter 4, I'm talking about this is, we did expansion twice. The first time we did the expansion in quarter 1, we went with 6,000 in Region 1 and 6,000 in Region 3. And then quarter 4 again, by checking demand, when the demand is reaching our total number of products, and we didn't really have any stockouts by then. So we increased our productivity in Region 3 again. So we leased 4,000 in Region 3 and 1,000 in Region 1, which made a total of 33,000 units.
As far as the tech option, we did get a tech option. As you all can see by the chart, we got tech option number 3, and or some of you can see by the chart. And pretty much that was for Region 1, that was the most profitable idea, lowest payback. And we also had the financial by quarter 5, we had the financial capability to get a buy and feel confident that we'll be able to pay it back and things of that nature. So it definitely, our position at the time definitely convinced us to get a tech option. And gosh, I had something I was gonna say on this, but pretty much I'll keep it short since of time. But pretty much this is just another chart just showing what happened with us financially. In our lowest, we did a 186,000 investment in the second quarter, and after that, our highest net income was about 358,000, and our lowest was about 155,000. So I think hopefully none of you have to take the class over, but if you do, just know second quarter. Yeah.
Chris, are you the team that did give dividends?
We did only once.
We did.
Just once, okay.
Yeah,
One of the team, okay.
Yeah, we talked.
The major finance decisions were made based on, the requirement for additional capital. One was for the expansion in the second quarter when we went really big, with leasing and hiring a lot of people. And I mean, that was for the second quarter. Even though our concept was to have, enough cash in our balance sheet, even if we come up with something, like if we have to hire more people or if we have to expand more. So we started up with, having a bond and also having a short-term loan. At the same time, we were also investing in the short-term investments in order to get our money back for each quarter. And as we talked about, the plant expansion was the main reason why we had to, have it. And other than that, we also had an emergency loan taken in the quarter too, to suffice for the total amount of money that was required and not to have two less amount for following quarters. The next major finance required was for the quarter 5, and we needed almost $1.2 million for tech improvements. And the dividend, as I already mentioned, we did only once. So that was also just to raise stock price, and surprisingly, it did raise stock price from 50 with just 75 cents from $50 of stock price to 64 something by the final quarter, and we issued our dividends in quarter 7.
So our learnings
So just realizing that a good strategy encompasses a risky investment. I think with me, looking at the solo versus the group, seeing what parallels happen, but then there was a lot of contrast for me. And I was a big cheerleader for going big or go home. So I mean, when we started off, of course I was a little nervous about the risky measures, but I felt that with the strategy, it seemed to be different by doing a combination strategy versus everyone else. So I felt like the only way we could do is, go up from that possibility.
Yeah, my learning, I had 2 learnings. First one was that I'm glad Dr. Gurley helped out. We actually did, in Region 3, we actually did a tech improvement, but Dr. Gurley sent us an email. And so had I known that, I didn't switch the cost of labor and region and the tech improvement worksheet to the Chinese labor cost, and so I thought it was more profitable. And so if we could do it again, I'd probably do that. And the second learning is that, knowing how successful our strategy was, possibly starting in quarter 1, but how I felt, and I include this in the paper, that possibly since we didn't start in quarter 1 and that we started in quarter 2, it possibly created some misconception, or like a misdirection or some diversion, what have you, in the sense that when we had our loss in the second quarter, we charged like $90 for the price of our goods, and so we had a lot of goods left over, and so third quarter when we started profiting, I felt like, okay, some people say that we won this quarter, they may not want to say, okay, we need to see what happened. What they did so that we could use their strategy. But they may see, okay, they charged a low, high price, they had a lot of inventory left over, and so they charged lower price, they didn't have to produce the inventory, and so that's why they profited. And so I felt like people wouldn't start catching on to our strategy until like quarter 4, and so by then our strategy was already set, and if somebody did try to copy our strategy, we kind of battle with them. Because it would be harder.
Okay, but you are running a little long now.
So they're over. Okay, great.